Hi, Gary Zacharias here. This will be our third and fourth week for our async class, English 100 class. And so I wanted to go over what we've got coming up for this week. Number one is a couple more of those English Essential videos, and I hope they're helping you. And again, if you have any questions over anything we're doing, just email me, gzacharias@palomar.edu. I'd be glad to get back to you, and I'll get back to you quickly. I want to spend a lot of time on this video getting you ready for what's coming up with our second essay. You did the profile essay. That was due at the end of the second week of our class. This next 2-week segment is going to be devoted to getting ready for writing an examination or an analysis, you might say, of an argument. That's not to say you're going to have to write an argument. You're not. So let's get really clear on that. You do not have to write an argument. You're going to look at 2 essays that examine an issue on both sides, one pro and one con, and you're going to look at the way they argue and make a determination if you think one did a better job than the other. So if you'll turn in your text to page 26 and over to 27, I want to hit some of the key things about it. I'll just say this: the profile essay tends to be maybe one of the easier essays to do in the class. Students sometimes struggle with this, but I think it's because they don't quite understand what they're doing, what they're up to. So I just want to make sure you're really clear on this. You are not writing an argument. You're not saying I'm in favor of X, or I am opposed to Y, or this is the way things should be handled. This is the wrong way to go about things. So you're not writing an argument. You're going to look at 2 arguments. You're going to examine those, analyze them, tear them apart, and see which one is doing a better job. Okay, so I'm on page 26. Look at my third paragraph there. This is really important. It says, make sure you get credible sources. Credible sources. So I think the worst thing you can do is just go on the internet and just type in arguments. And yeah, you'll find some arguments there, but are these people credible? We want, again, this is academic writing. This is English 100. This is a transfer level class to show the world that you know what you're doing when it comes to writing. So you've got to find 2 credible sources. Now once you get the 2 sources, read them, and then in that same paragraph it says you'll then have to summarize the points that they make. So before you analyze, before you examine, before you tear apart the essays, the first thing you're going to do is to say, here's what argument A had to say, here's what argument B had to say. Hit their highlights, hit their main points. Don't argue with them. Just what did one say? What did the other say? Be fair, be honest, and be short. Just keep it down to very few sentences, but at least hit the main points there. Okay, then the next part, and this is the part that's tricky for a lot of people, the third part. So you found your source, you were able to summarize them. I'm still in the third paragraph. And the third thing you have to do is analyze similarities and differences, the way they went about their argument. So look at the next paragraph. Finding good essays, finding good arguments, it's actually very, very easy. So here's what I'd suggest. You go to Palomar College homepage, then you go to library, and when you go to the library, over on the left side, you can click for additional parts of the library. You go to what's called databases. Databases. So what's a database? Well, Palomar pays a lot of money each year to companies that go out and grab pieces of information. They might be articles, they might be arguments, things that they find in newspapers and magazine articles all over the world, and they bring them together and they organize them by topics. So Palomar has databases for people interested in nursing. They have databases for people interested in psychology, databases for sports. I mean, it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. You don't care about the specific area, so don't worry about that. Once you find your database page, those databases are laid out alphabetically from A to Z. Go to the letter O. Okay, go to the letter O, click on that, and up will come a list of databases that start with the letter O. I think it's the second one. What you're looking for is something called opposing viewpoints. Okay, so find opposing viewpoints. And you'll see, once you get inside there, It's just tons of arguments on all sorts of topics. There's a blue rectangle near the bottom of the page there that says more articles or categories or something like that. You click on that and you'll find just everything from A to Z. They'll argue about animal safety. They'll argue about marijuana usage. They'll argue about same-sex marriage. They'll argue about Ukraine, what's going on in Ukraine. So find an area you think is kind of interesting and click on that, and up come viewpoints. That's what you're looking for. It'll say viewpoints, and that's where people will argue. And what you do then is, once you get inside there, try to find two that are on opposite sides. One person will say, we should lower the drinking age to 18. Another article comes up, we should never lower the drinking age to 18. Well, there you go. There you got a pro and you've got a con. So look for the pro and the con. There are your two articles. There's another one that I mentioned on the same page that you might want to go to. So we got opposing viewpoints, and then one called CQ Researcher. So you do the same thing. You go to the Palomar College webpage for the library, go to the databases, and find the letter C this time, and you'll find CQ Researcher. And if this is too difficult or you struggle with it, you can either email me, we could do a Zoom call and I can show you, or ask a librarian, right? You can go on the library homepage and the librarians will help you out. So once you find your two articles, that's probably half the battle. Get the two articles, read them, summarize them. That's part of your paper that you're going to be writing. Summarize them. And then you look at what you notice between similarities and differences as you're looking at them. Well, what kinds of similarities and differences? Well, page 28. Oh, sorry, page 27. This is huge. This is important. Page 27, I've got two bullets on that page. Look at the last bullet. It says, here's where you analyze the arguments. Type of support, tone, recognition of the other side, style, organization, author's credentials, emotion, concession, ethical appeal. Now, you don't have to do all of those. That's a lot. But you could do 3 or 4 or 5 of those areas that you think are especially interesting, and you compare your two authors. So, for example, let's just take author's credentials. So let's suppose the argument is in the area of science, and you look at your two authors. Author A is a scientist in that field. Author B is a journalist who writes about a lot of different topics. I don't know about you, but I would guess I would trust more that first person who's already a scientist in the field. And you would explain that in your paper. Maybe you look at tone. Tone means what's the author's attitude. And maybe you read one essay and it's full of anger. You can just tell it's full of anger because it makes fun of the other side and it ridicules. It's got harsh words. And the other one is far kinder. It's smoother. Its vocabulary is better. It seems to say, hey, let's settle down. And you look at the two and you say, wow, I like the tone of the second one better than I like the tone of the first one. So that's what you're going to do. And I'm going to give you some practice. I always do give you some practice. This time, I'm going to have you look at 2 essays that deal with media violence. One person says we've got to be careful. We should be concerned because consumption of mass media like television and video games, things like that, can lead to violence in kids, especially worried about kids. There's a second article by another person who says, no, it's not a worry at all. So here you go. Person A says, watch out, this is dangerous. Person B says it is not dangerous. So I've given you some questions to answer and to consider, and I'll be looking at your responses and help you out to see if you struggle with that. So that's your first one. That's your first analysis of 2 arguments. I'm having you do a second one so you can really get comfortable with this. It's the same thing. You're going to discuss ways you thought one author was better than the other, except I'm giving you a new topic. Here's the topic. I find this one fascinating because most textbooks don't do this. They don't cover it. They get kind of edgy and don't want to talk about this. It's a very simple issue. Is there or is there not a God? I mean, that's huge, isn't it? How you answer that question is going to be one of the most important things that lead to the rest of your life. They always say ideas have consequences. If you think there is a God, you'll do different things than if you think there is no God. So I've got 2 authors for you to read. One author says there is not a God. The other author says, yes, there is a God. So these two clash on a very, very important issue. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to figure out what they have to say, then you're going to analyze. You're going to use page 27, some of those items in there, to look at differences and see which essay you thought was superior. Then you will do, like we've done, the beginning questions that for your two essays, the further questions, the rough draft, final draft. So I hope that makes sense. It's tricky. It's not tricky, it's not the right word. It's more difficult than the first one because you're having to use sources. It's not just you telling your story. So don't let it give you problems. Email me. Let me know if you're struggling at all. So that's the second part of what I want to talk about. So the English Essentials videos. Number 2 is the second essay. Number 3, I'm asking you to do a couple of research updates. So research update number 2 says, show me that you're starting to move on this. Give me a list of some sources that you found. Now, you don't have to have read them or watched them or interviewed them yet, but you at least got a list. Here's a book I found. Here's an article I found. Here's a YouTube video I'm going to watch. Here's a person that I've set up to do an interview with. Whatever it is. So you list me 3 sources that you plan to use for your research. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Then I'm asking you to do one more update. Update 3 says, okay, you had a YouTube video. Now watch it and write what you discovered in there about your topic. Or it's a short magazine article, then tell me what's in the magazine article. Or it's a book. Well, you didn't read the whole book. You may have just had to read one chapter. Stay away from having to read a whole book. That's crazy. That means your topic is too big. So let's say you had to read one chapter. What was in the chapter? So now it's not just finding information, but you're starting to dig into it and show me what you had. Okay, one of the other things I'm asking you to do under this area of research is a 3-part exercise. I want you to be able to summarize, paraphrase, and quote from a short article I will give you, because those are the skills you're going to have to do with your research paper. Some parts of your research paper you're going to be summarizing your source. Some parts of your research paper you're going to be paraphrasing your source. And some parts of your research paper you're actually going to be quoting from your source. So if you're a little confused about the difference between paraphrasing and summarizing, no problem. Just read the material and you'll see. And so there's an exercise I want you to do on that. Then the last thing that I'd ask you to do for this next 2 weeks, these are weeks 3 and 4, is something on writing skills and having really good openers and closers as far as paragraphs. Really trying to get something that sparkles at the beginning and at the end of your essay. So, a lot of work, but welcome to the world of Palomar and academics. So I know you can do it. I've had many students just fly through this material, but just keep in mind, because we're on a shorter schedule, it's 12 weeks, not 16, you have to really keep moving on this. So don't fall behind on the research. Don't fall behind on this essay number 2. Let me know. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to get angry. So if you struggle, please, please, please let me know, gzacharias@palomar.edu, and I'll help you with whatever concern you might have. Especially finding these 2 argumentative essays may be a struggle. We can do that together online. Okay, well, I thank you for your attention here, and I hope these next 2 weeks go well for you. And let's keep in touch. See ya.